Guys, I have something to confess to you. I haven't played Battlefield 1 in over 2 weeks. Why? Because this has pretty much been my experience the last 3 times I've played on the DLC maps of They Shall Not Pass. Dice, please end my suffering. So yeah, enough of that. Lately, I have been absolutely infatuated with Rainbow Six Siege, and that's pretty much all I've been playing. So today, I decided to take my first attempt at an operator spotlight video, if you will. Now, I'm still relatively new to the game, so I don't think I'm really the best person to be giving tips and tricks and making guides on operators, but I'll do my best to at least include some useful information for anyone who has recently picked up the game like myself. And by the way guys, if anyone out there has been wanting to get into this game but they're worried that it's just a little bit too late, it's not. The game's community is growing every day as more and more people are discovering just how awesome it is. If you ask me, it's the best competitive shooter available right now. So if you've been on the fence and if you're just worried that it's a little bit too late in the game to get started, I 100% guarantee you it is not. There are new players joining every day. But enough of my babbling, let's talk about my favorite attacker that I've been able to play so far, Ashley. Wait, her name isn't Ashley? Eliza Cohen? And she's from Israel? Well, that was unexpected. Yes, Eliza Cohen was born in Jerusalem and went to university in Tel Aviv for engineering, which is how she was able to invent a breach charge firing noob tube that burrows into walls and other surfaces, literally turning them into ash. Oh, okay, I get it. Wait, if she's from Israel, how is she in the FBI? Well, Ubisoft thought of that too. Apparently, federal governments have an international law enforcement exchange program, similar to that one time in high school when there was suddenly a new Asian student in your class that spoke very limited English and didn't have to take part in any class discussions or do half the work that you had to do. Totally fair, right? Anyways, that's how she became part of the FBI. So Eliza is all about speed and the ability to open up new, unexpected sight lines and flanking routes. She's got high mobility and low armor, which is pretty much a roadmap on how to play Ash in the most effective way. Move around a lot and don't challenge operators like Glaz or Jaeger if you don't have to, because they will down you most of the time in 1 or 2 bullets. If you are in a peek off with someone, try to make use of her speed by standing up and peeking in and out quickly. This will help you in 2 ways. 1, it'll be more difficult for your enemy to react to your peek if you're going in and out so quickly, and he'll pretty much have to pre-fire you. And 2, if you can get a read on where the enemy is, you can pre-fire them as you are coming into your peek. Call it her peeker's advantage. The speed really kills in this game. Ash's special ability was completely unique in 2 different ways until Hibana showed up on the scene. Before Hibana was introduced, Ash was the only operator that could take out a castle barricade without ever having to go near it. But like I said, now that Hibana is around, she can also take out a castle barricade from a distance. Ash still has one advantage there though, in the sense that her charge detonates in way less time than Hibana's, so it is a lot more surprising to enemies. Also, the sound of Hibana's charges make it a dead giveaway to anyone inside the room, and they can easily tell where a hole is about to be made. Ash, on the other hand, is a complete surprise. The breaching round is not affected by mute traps since it is not electronic. However, it can be destroyed by Jaeger's active defense system, but that is really extremely rare, as most of the time you'll be firing it into the outer wall of a room and Jaeger's ADSs will be inside that room. But just keep that in mind. Jaeger's ADS can counter Ash's breaching round if it is placed in such a way that it can get a shot on it. But there is one thing that still makes Ash's ability completely unique, and that is that she is the only operator that can breach through ceilings. That is something the enemy team rarely expects, but it is very situational. Given the right circumstances though, breaching a ceiling can provide for some nice sight lines, some pretty good surprises, and some epic kills that the enemy will never see coming. Now as far as loadout options go, Ashe has some pretty good ones. Her two primary weapons are the G36C and the R4C assault rifles, both of which very good weapons. But when you look at the characteristics, or the statistics I guess, of both weapons, the R4C is the clear winner here to me. It has better damage and rate of fire, which are pretty much your two most important aspects of a weapon in Rainbow Six Siege. The only advantage the G36C has over the R4C is a tighter recoil pattern, but trust me, the R4C is a much better option, so roll with that. The recoil's not that much worse. The attachments are pretty much up to you. I like to run the R4C with a vertical grip and a compensator, and then depending on my mood, I'll switch between the ACOG and or hollow sights. And I usually do not bother with the
fucking laser sights,
because 99% of the time I like to aim down sights anyway. Hip fire is pretty unreliable in this game, even when you're in close with someone. Pistol options are the M45 and the 5.7. The M45 is a lot more powerful obviously, but it has a much smaller ammo capacity than the 5.7. I will usually take the 5.7 because of that, since I rarely use my pistol to kill someone from full health anyway, and I guess I'd just rather have to reload less often, so the 5.7 is my recommendation for the pistol. Finally, Ashe's gadgets are either breaching charges or smoke grenades. Now here's where it gets kind of interesting. Seeing as Ashe already has 2 breaching rounds for her launcher, one might ask, what's the point in taking more breaching charges? Well, if you think about it, the more lines of sight you can open up to a room where enemies are hiding, the better for one. And 2, if the objective is like in the middle of the building, you might want to save your breaching rounds for when you get closer to that room. Taking the extra breaching charges will allow you to gain access to the building in general, while saving your breaching rounds for when you get closer to the actual objective. On the other hand, if you've got to plant a diffuser, the smoke grenades could actually be really helpful here, since you can create a smoke screen for yourself while you plant the diffuser. So both gadgets have their uses in different game modes and situations, so you can use your best discretion there. Then as a final note on Ashe's loadout, I feel it's worth mentioning that Ashe's breach launcher is not a noob tube, so it doesn't really deal a lot of damage to people. It does a minimal amount of damage if an enemy is close to the blast, but it's really meant for breaching walls and barricades, not for killing people. So I just went over pretty much all the basic stuff you'd need to know about Ashe, but like I said earlier, I'm still sort of new to the game myself, so I may not be the best person to be talking about how to play certain operators, but what I will do is go over how I like to play Ashe and what has worked well for me so far. If you want a more in-depth Ashe guide from someone who's really good at playing as her, I highly suggest you check out a guy called Serenity17. I've been watching his guides lately and they are really good. Link is in the description to his Ashe guide, so you can go check that out if you'd like. But from my experience, Ashe is a really good choice for the lone wolf type player. Since she is so fast and has the ability to open up lines of sight and alternate flank routes, I found it is totally okay to break away from your team and sort of do your own thing most of the time. Your main job as Ashe is to breach, flank, and in some situations maybe create a distraction for your teammates. Remember to keep in mind that you have low armor, so getting into peak fights with enemies is not a good situation for Ashe. If you find yourself pinned down, do whatever you can to find a way out of there without exposing yourself to fire. If you can live to flank another day, that is absolutely what you want to do. Ashe is all about the
surprise, motherfucker.
So use her ability to breach a wall or barricade from a distance and you will be surprising enemies all day long. Her speed and her mobility are her best attributes, so use those to get yourself out of bad situations and to make it to alternate flanking routes if enemies are fixated on one door or direction. I can't tell you how many times I've peeked a door, had an enemy see me, and then run pretty much all the way around the map and get behind him. It's kind of hilarious when you come up behind someone 30 seconds after he saw you on his opposite side and shoot him in the back. The feels, man. The feels. But that's gonna pretty much do it for my first operator breakdown video. please, please, please let me know how I did in the comments below and whether or not you'd like me to make more of these. Your feedback is always appreciated, guys, so let me know how I did in the comments below. And if this is the first time you're seeing my lovely face, then why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, guy. My name's Grizz, and I'll see you all in the near future. Peace.